Today I'm gonna show you how to fix this dispenser from this Samsung 3-door refrigerator with the water dispenser on the inside. So with something flat, pry-bar, or some even a butter knife, you loosen it up all the way around and then you pop it open. So these are little plastic tabs. You just loosen it one little bit at a time so you could pry it. So there's a hole there, so you have to slide it out and pop it out. This little part here will break over time. It's a little snap onto this little piece of plastic that will break. So I'm going to use epoxy to really strengthen it and glue it back on like that. And this will also be glued on. We'll make sure we do a good job creating a rough surface for the epoxy to adhere to. Get a sandpaper, 150 grit sandpaper. Double check with the light. Make sure all the surface that the epoxy will go on. And wipe out the dust. Put the rubber button cover back on. Make sure it's in the right spot. Should clean it. Make sure it's nice and clean. I like to just get a piece of paper. You can buy any epoxy, two-part epoxy at Home Depot, Lowe's. I plan to use a clear epoxy. I just use a toothpick. Make the two-part mix. Make sure we do this in a well-ventilated area. And we'll put a little thin layer on one side. It's good to let the epoxy set a little bit. When it gets a little thicker, it's a little easier to work with versus when it's too runny. Put some in between here. Actually, I'm gonna put some on the surface too. You get some on your hands, just wipe it off immediately. Make some good contact. Now, I could have just bought a new one for $16, but I'm gonna make this better than the original design and stronger. Hold it down with the toothpick. It'll take a few minutes for it to set, so you have to hold it down. Okay. After about 10 minutes, the epoxy gets to start turning yellow. So I'm gonna put another layer on it. Okay. Once it gets thicker, I like to put another nice coating. Create a nice thick structural piece. Okay. Now I don't have to hold it down, but as you can see, I have a nice layer surrounding it, and once this gets nice and hard, it'll become one solid piece. Okay, now the second layer of the epoxy is all cured. It only took a little over an hour to cure until it's really pretty hard. So again, first layer, after about 5-10 minutes, when it gets starting to harden, apply the second layer. Make sure, as you can see, it's just well covered so it becomes a very solid piece. So now this actually works fine without creating stress here. Now to install it back on is pretty simple. Obviously, if you remove the shelf, it might be a little easier. But make sure you put the nozzle into this hole. Slide it up a little bit. And then slide up and then snap in. Make sure it's all snapped in. And a quick check. All good to go.